Hello everyone, Prime here, and I hope that you've had a great day, because today we're going to be talking about some more gods and goddesses that should be in Smite. Specifically, we're going to be covering gods from the Chinese, Japanese, and Hindu pantheons. And if you guys want another part to this video, then that part will most likely cover Mayan, Norse, and Egyptian mythology, as well as Celtic mythology as well. But jumping right into this, we're going to be starting off with a love story. Ji Nu, a cloud weaver who once lived among the stars as Vega, was in love with Neo Lang. Their union was forbidden by the Queen Mother of Heavens. Swept into a fury after discovering their relationship, the Queen Mother exiled Neo Lang to Earth, where he lived as a cowherder in his new life. Ji Nu was the seventh granddaughter of the Queen Mother and was spared banishment. Ji Nu loved cloud weaving almost as much as Neo Lang. His departure left an emptiness in her heart, but she wasn't exactly sure what was missing. Many years after this, the other granddaughters of the Queen Mother had requested permission to enter the Lotus Gardens of Earth. They were a bit like hot springs or relaxing baths that people would take to, of course, relax. Before they left the heavens to bathe, they also received permissions to take Ji Nu with them. Neo Lang was born to farmers with very little to their names. Both of his parents died, forcing Neo Lang to live with his earthly brother, who was not only mistreating him, but also stole all of his money and left him dependent on a cow for survival. For now, let's call the cow Oxfried. Oxfried was a special cow because he could speak, and one day he informed Neo Lang that he should go to the Lotus Gardens where exquisite angels were bathing and recover the robes of a particular angel. This angel was to be his wife, Oxfried explained. And so she was. It didn't take long for the two to realize exactly who they were, and the former godly status of Neo Lang, who's now a cowherder. Their marriage brought about 2 children. One was a boy, and the other was a girl. Together they lived on the earth for some time. Neo Lang worked the fields with Oxfried, and Ji Nu wove beautiful clothes. This was a pleasant life until Oxfried died. But as he lay dying, he urged Neo Lang to make a cloak out of his hide. Oxfried was actually a friend of Neo's, called Tartus, who spoke for Neo whilst they lived among the stars. Because he spoke out for Neo on Neo's behalf, he was also banished and became a cowherding companion, of course. Soon enough, the Queen Mother ordered Ji Nu to return to the heavens and summoned a powerful wind to take her there with her children. Neo Lang traveled with his family until the Queen Mother realized exactly what was going on and sent powerful rivers to separate the two. Whilst the river's waters blocked their path, Neo Lang and Ji Nu screamed out for each other. The Queen Mother remained adamant for a time, but soon enough relented and allowed Neo Lang to live in the heavens, though he would be separated from his wife and children, save for one day in a year, known to the Chinese as Valentine's Day. So the name of the Queen Mother of the West was Ziwang Mu. She ruled over the immortals and genies, meaning spirits, in Jihua, meaning west flower. She's also mentioned in a couple of the other gods that already exist in Smite story. Namely, she was the Queen Mother who granted Hou Yi the elixir, or essentially, the items that granted Shunga immortality. And it is her peaches that Sun Wukong gobbled up before the mighty peach banquet was held during his story. So she's quite a prominent figure in Chinese mythology. And I would expect to see her at some point in Smite because of that. Or at the very least, a few more gods or goddesses connected to her. But next up we have the man who became a god, Baigan. Now, I'm going to have his godly name on the screen, but I just couldn't find a way to pronounce it. I mean, I found but he was a god of wealth, and he had the ability to give his faithful wealth and riches. During the Lunar New Year festival, friends may say, Gong Shi Fatai, meaning, may you become rich, which is actually relevant because the New Year celebrations are coming up in a few weeks, so that's a thing. I think they'll be here next week, so yes. His other duties are to guard the heavenly treasury. Now, I found 2 versions of myths in which he was a human who becomes the god. And both of these variations of the myth actually include King Zhou of the Shang dynasty. And for those of you that don't remember, King Zhou was the husband of Daji. The first one actually more directly references Daji, that being that as King Zhou's, or one of King Zhou's many ministers, he gained... And so in the first story, he is Minister Baigan, and Minister Baigan was a very generous man and would help business owners by funding their businesses and helping them on that front. And because of his generosity, he was loved by the people. And this love that he received from the people grew to such a height that King Zhou himself became jealous of Baigan. Daji used this growing hatred of Baigan in order to sort of get rid of Baigan, and through some method or another has his heart removed. Now, in some variations of the story, this is where Baigan dies, and there's no more to his story. But in others, Baigan may have had a wife, or he may have had two wives, and one of these wives may have been slain with Baigan, or directly after Baigan is killed. There's a variation in which he doesn't die after having his heart removed. He uses the assumption that he is dead to flee because he was given a magical pancreas by Zhang Zia, which allowed him to flee with his family. And eventually, he becomes enlightened during meditation on a mountain. After his enlightenment, he becomes Kai Shen. So that's one way that he might have become the god Kai Shen. But so another way in which he may have become the god Kai Shen was that he was actually a general serving under Emperor Zhao. A straw effigy of Zhao was forged, and after 20 days of incarnations were placed upon the effigy, someone fired an arrow toward the effigy that was made up of peach tree wood, and it pierced the effigy's heart. A man named Yuan Shizhuan took responsibility for this killing, and Zhao's corpse was taken by Yuan to a temple, at which Zhao became immortalized as Kai Shen. So it was said that in battle, Kai Shen rode a black tiger, and he wielded a special rod made out of iron for his weapon. He also may have had some manner of explosives as well, but that's another variation of the myth, so there you go. And that's pretty much all the deities we're going to be talking about for Chinese mythology. We have Hindu mythology, and the first god we're going to be talking about is someone who I was surprised wasn't in Smite. Either this chap or Shiva I would have expected to be in Smite, but apparently not. And that's Indra. He was the leader of the Deva, class of divine beings, a god of war, storms, combat, and rode a white elephant into battle. Not sure if you've ever seen any sort of like depictions, or like you've played any games where you see elephants in combat, but an elephant in combat would likely have been horrifically scary to face against. That would be so cool in Smite. I know we'd have a scaling issue with the elephant, considering the fact that Ymir isn't massive, and we've already talked about that 1,000 times over, but yeah, still an elephant would be cool to fight with. I know we have Ganesh, but I mean a mounted elephant. He also traveled across heaven in a golden chariot, which is quite cool, and he defended the gods and the people against dangerous entities, such as demons. After failing to defeat Asuras, Namucha and Viritra, who removed all the light from the world, he sort of retreated, but Vishnu knew that the duo was immune to solid and liquid damages, and so a divine carpenter created for Indra a mighty weapon, the Vajra. See, the weapon produced thunderbolts that annihilated these two Asuras, returning the light to the world. Found some Buddhist descriptions of the weapons, saying that the destructible thunderbolt blazed like a meteoric fireball across the heavens in a maelstrom of thunder, fire, and lightning. I know the particle effects on something like that would probably be pretty extreme in Smite, but still, can you imagine how awesome that could look? We can only dream, but still. However, a lot like Zeus, Indra was a bit, shall we say, devious with women, and he had an experience, unlike Zeus, that sort of gave him a bit of a comeuppance. You see, the wife of a saint was someone that he actually had a bit of fun with, and he was greatly punished for that. See, of course the wife was taken away from him, and his body was plagued with, shall we say, the private areas of women. These parts sprouted all across his body, about 1,000 of them to be exact. See, Indra was quite embarrassed by this, as I'm sure you would be, and I'm not sure how or what you're supposed to do. Once that would happen to you, your body would be extremely sensitive for what, the point is, he was very embarrassed. And to sort of shield himself from a lot of mockery, he started calling himself Indra the Thousand-Eyed. That could have been a completely different name that would really suck, but hey, Indra the Thousand-Eyed. A lot of the pantheons are pretty much sausage fests, and Saraswati for Hindu mythology could change that. She was the wife of Brahma, the creator deity, so surely she herself would not lack for power at all. She was the goddess of speech, wisdom, music, and learning. A lot of interesting directions already, just from those ideas alone, that Hi-Rez can go with her kit. She's prayed to before any sort of conscious learning has begun, especially during exam periods at schools, and while she could grant a person the tools required to achieve success through knowledge, this may have been counterproductive, as too much knowledge and success was said to be equated with the goddess of wealth, Lakshmi. She resides over poetry, healing, smithcraft, and martial combat. She also shares connections to Saint Bridget from Christianity. Saraswati also shared a lot of traits with Athena, which is fairly easy to see considering the fact that she's residing over combat, wisdom, speech, learning, things that you could easily attribute to Athena. So yeah, there are many directions Hi-Rez could put. There are many directions that Hi-Rez could go with as far as Saraswati would be concerned with Smite. Of course, Hi-Rez also does have a good reason for not wanting to include too many Hindu gods in Smite, but they're still releasing gods because we got Ganesh, so that excuse seems a bit weak sauce. We're going to be moving on to Japanese mythology now. Aizen Myu. This was one of his titles, and it could have meant lust-drenched one, impassionate one, or king of sexual passion. Aizen was a Buddhist Japanese deity of love. He could steer a person towards enlightenment through lust suppression, saving them from the negative effects of their deepest desires. He could also in this way steer them away from a surefire way of getting into the hell, so very good god. His duties saw a person achieve romantic success, respect for others, and a clearer understanding of Buddhist teachings could be achieved through Aizen Myu. Despite this though, a lion sits atop his head and his face wasn't too much unlike a demon or an ogre or any sort of other scary Japanese beast, so there's that. The last goddess that we're going to be talking about will be Bentenzai, or Benten, or Benzai, and she was the only woman among the Shichifukujin, who were the 7 gods of good luck in Japanese mythology. She was a goddess of music, wealth, love, and femininity. Most of her shrines are situated near water or on the sea, and she could be seen riding or in the presence of sea dragons. She uses a white snake as her messenger, and she is also depicted as a human with 8 arms. In some myths, however, she is the daughter of a dragon, and as such, she's a dragon herself. In one myth, a powerful dragon who dwelled on the surface consumed children from a certain village. During the 6th century, natural events caused the volcano Enoshima to erupt. At this time, Benzai appeared atop the clouds, tracking the dragon. When she discovered its home, she agreed to marry the dragon, which sated the beast's hunger for human flesh. Benzai's presence also caused Enoshima to rise from the sea and remained an island sacred to Bentenzai, or Benzai. You know what, I really can't decide which variation of her name I like. They're all pretty cool and just very nice to say. Just try saying that. Benzai, Bentenzai, Benten, Benzai, Bentenzai. She's a lucky goddess. So anyways, that was the video. I hope you did enjoy. Hi-Rez really should stop dropping the ball on some of these gods and really add them in. It would just add some nice wholesomeness to the game. But yes, if you did enjoy, go ahead and leave a like. And of course, if you're new to the channel, why not subscribe? Plenty more content just like this coming and is on the way. And until the next video, have a very good day. I have been Prime, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.